Will you let me know when we are, and I will do the little script.
We are now.
Awesome. Okay. So thanks for joining the meeting being held via Zoom webinar. When I call for public comment, please use the raise lower hand feature to let me know if you wish to be recognized. Our host will allow you to talk, and you will need to unmute your mic. If you have joined us by phone today, you can raise or lower your hand by pressing *9 and mute, or an unmute using *6. If you are participating by phone, I'll call on you by reading the last 4 digits of your phone number. If you would like to call in, the phone numbers are 1-253-215-8782 or 877-853-5257. The webinar ID is 869-2489-9859 with the passcode 574069. All right, and so we will jump into our agenda today. We are supposed to have a guest. Paisley, has he joined? So our guest today is Tom Snyder. Kia linked Tom with the Public Art Committee because he has a mural idea that he would like to do on the wall of the, what's that real estate company? Danny, it's the wall that you've been dreaming of doing with the Vans mural, I believe.
Volker's wall.
Yes, the Angles and Volks. So this is Tom. Tom, we'll go around and do a quick introduction for ourselves so you can know who we are, and then we'll jump right into why you're joining us today. So I'm Courtney. I'm the chair of the Public Art Committee. Thank you for being here. And Kirsten, can you go through and just call on people? Sorry, Paisley, and call on people.
Yeah, you want me to call on people?
Yeah, because I can't see the participants for some reason. I don't know. My phone is.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, Tom. I'm Paisley Thornton, and I am admin. I'm the Public Art Coordinator and work for the Public Art Committee. Thanks for being here. So next, let's do Danny, then Kathy.
Hi, I'm Danny, or Danielle. Everyone calls me Danny. Vasquez. That was weird. Yeah, also just a Public Art Committee member. Yeah, Kathy.
Kathy Olson, Public Art Committee Vice Chair.
Awesome. Next, can we do Lisa and then Stony? And then Dennis. Lisa, I think you're on mute, maybe. There, try now. I tried to, no? All right, I don't know. Lisa's having some sound problems, so let's go over to Stony.
Hi, I'm Stony Samso, also on the Public Art Committee.
Dennis, and then Hallie.
Oh, I just got my audio going. Was there a question?
Just do a brief introduction of yourself, Dennis.
What's that?
Just an introduction.
Oh, okay. Dennis Lippert, Order of the Public Art Committee.
Awesome. Thanks, Dennis. Let's do Hallie next, and then we'll come back to Lisa. Hallie, I think you're still muted.
There you go. Sorry, of course I'm in the car. I'm Hallie Kern. I'm new to the Public Art Committee, owner of the bicycle hanger.
Awesome, thanks. And Lisa?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Lisa Simon, Public Art Committee, and owner of Radius Gallery, co-owner of Radius Gallery with my husband, Jason Neal.
Awesome. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank everybody for the introduction. So we'll swing it back to Tom for an introduction from him and just to hear what his vision is for this mural.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And Hallie's my neighbor, so she doesn't need an introduction. But I'm the owner of 5 on Black, and we've been in this building for 7, almost 8 years now. And since we've moved into this building, I think all of us within our block, Cloth and Crown, Red Rooster, and then what was Sotheby's that Don owned and changed into Engel and Volkers, we've always really wanted to do something with this massive wall and create a really cool public art space and mural project out of it. And it just is, it's a big project and a large undertaking. So I think for all of us, it's been a little bit of a matter of timing, and I certainly have a little bit of time now to focus more energy on it. And I know that Dawn is very willing and into the project. And of course it's her building and her space. So it kind of has to come from her, but I've been taking a little bit more of a leading role in trying to push this project forward. So I met with Kia last week, and as you guys mentioned, she put me in touch with the Public Art Committee and thought that that'd be a better place to start. And so to explain the idea a little bit further, this wall on the side of the building, one, it's one of the few alleys in downtown that has a ton of visibility because it's a little bit larger than a traditional alley with the parking spaces right there. You almost have a half building, 3/4 building that could go there that currently is not. So as you drive by, there's tons of visibility. It's this huge wall. To put it in perspective, if we did 3/4 of the wall, it's 63 feet long by 36 feet high. And if we take up the whole wall, it's 96 feet by 36 feet. And those are approximations. It's probably give or take 10 feet off of that, but it's a huge wall. And I think all of our idea is how amazing it would be to create a single really big mural and statement piece and piece of public art in our community. And the thought that we had, and what I wanted to run by you guys as facilitators of it is, if we were able to do a public art call to everyone in the community to submit ideas for this space and mural projects for this space. And we thought it'd be a fun idea to get those submissions, maybe as a group, pick the top 5 and then send those out for public voting and try to create some community effort and collaboration in what we choose for this giant piece of art. And then we wanted to put together a budget preemptively so we could pay the artist appropriately and to get good submissions and really talented people. And we've been playing around with budgets, and don't hold me to any budget numbers that we give, and you guys would have a way better idea of that. But our thought was, if we put together a budget of anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 to create this piece, it's a massive wall, so it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of material. And the businesses on the block can contribute half of that cost, and then we could probably go out into the community and either get sponsorships or donations from banks, different groups in towns. Maybe there's some public funding that's available, but try to create a collaboration between the businesses on the block itself and kind of the community aspect of the project. So that's kind of the idea that we have, is send out an art call, have a budget in place, whatever that looks like. You guys have a better idea of that. Go into a submission and kind of community voting atmosphere, so they have a voice in what this huge piece of public art looks like in their downtown. So I'm happy to answer any other questions or thoughts or hear what you guys think about that plan moving forward.
Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone have any initial thoughts after listening to the proposal?
It sounds fantastic.
Sounds great. I know Don's been talking about it for a while, so I think to get something moving on it would be marvelous.
Can you talk about the condition of the wall? Isn't there a mural already on it, like a peeling mural? Do you have a sense of what the surface, in what condition the surface area is?
Yeah, that's a great question. The mural that's currently on there, I believe, was put on there from Edge of the World back when they had Don's building before it was Yellowstone Photo, and there's a big skate park in the upstairs, and it's kind of a Pink Floyd Volcom mashup mural piece is what it looks like. And it's cool, certainly, but I think we could make a way bigger impact on that wall. The brick is not in great shape at points, neither is the paint. And that's something that we could either put into the budget, if it's that higher range that I talked about, it would be, Dawn wants to take care of the brick repair. And she said that's something that she wants to do and is willing to do, which is amazing of her to take the initiative of some of these costs. And then whether we want to put that into the budget of the artist, priming out the whole wall and making it part of the paint project, or, do we get someone in there that after brick repair happens, we prime the wall with a new layer of paint. So that's up in the air, but the condition of it right now isn't great. But as I said, Donna's going to replace and clean up all the brick on that. So it should be a nice surface for someone to work on. It's just huge.
We should get Lily Nelson to go over and take a look at it, because she did that mural on a wall that was had a lot of texture to it, and she did a lot of research on things that could be put over it to make that painting process easier. So she's just been doing a lot of research on murals, and so she might be a good person to send over to get a little evaluation of it.
And it certainly takes a lot of paint. We've done a couple mural projects in our stores, and a few of those have been over old existing brick, and paint doesn't go as far, as you guys can probably imagine.
Yeah.
And how about access to like scaffolding and like ability to reach various, do business owners there have that equipment, or what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Our thought was, again, trying to put that within the budget, I think would be easier to say, this is the art call, you're responsible for all of the paint materials, time, artwork, and any scaffolding or scissor lists that you need. The other option is to pull some of that out and say, we'll provide, the primer and the scaffolding. But I think the easiest way to do it would be, it's a parking lot currently. So in the sections that they're working, all the cars that go right there are the businesses along that block. I know Don and I have most of those parking spaces. So depending on what section they're working, we have room to just pull the cars back, 5-6 feet. And then I think scissor lifts would probably be the best option for moving back and forth in there. So, it's renting a scissor lift for, a month or 2 months or the duration of the project.
And it even seems like, and I think Lisa's alluding to this as well, of there's the option of painting on removable materials, like a Tyvek kind of deal. And I think if you broke that Tyvek or whatever the material of choice was into smaller quadrants, I mean, they could project, for example, they could project onto maybe that material stretched out, kind of maybe with like an airbrush or something like that, stencil out the outline of whatever they're working on, take the smaller sections and work on that in like a protected zone, some sort of studio space or something like that. Could be one way to think about breaking down the project.
And that's
You guys have a
actually what
timeline?
that's actually what Hadley Ferguson did when we did the public artwork on the what people call the Allegra building, but that southwest corner of Broadway and Higgins. The pieces were done on actually a different material and then adhered to the wall, just in case something happened to the wall. So
Yeah, almost everything
it
that
actually go both ways.
what I've been hearing, the product that they've been using is called Polytab, and it
Mhm.
adheres directly to the wall. It becomes part of the wall. It's not something that would peel off or anything like that. But you would have to coat it in a way that it would become sort of a cement. So you would have to find the edges of your mural and dab it in that.
That's a great product.
Mm-hmm. And it allows
you
the
have-
artist to work on it somewhere else. So they could be working on it in a gymnasium. And then, so you would only need to move your cars and stuff like that for the installation of it. So, and that could be done in a day or two. So it might really like the polytab option. But I do think right now, Lily Nelson is the best person, the most experienced person in that material, in those kind of materials. So we should try to get her to look at it.
And
I
timing,
think that's a good start. Do you, Tom, have a timeline for when you would like to get this project kicked off and a finishing time? Or is this a fluid art call where we're going to just build it, see how things are going, and as things progress, we'll dictate the timeline? Or is there something that you guys would like to see happen?
I figured that, you know, not knowing that there were other options than painting directly on the brick, I felt like a realistic timeline would be to begin kind of the art column submission process over, you know, the next 3-4 months, do selection in the following months, because really with weather, you couldn't realistically paint anything on there until probably June to have a couple month period of consistent weather. And that timeline seemed like if we started moving on the project, we could have an artist lined up and, you know, a kind of a quasi contract formed by that time. So I think either way, it's probably a realistic timeline, whether they're painting directly on it or not. But I think it'd be nice by next summer to begin the process of getting something up there.
I might also suggest that, sorry, this is not about timeline, but just thinking about language that's being used. An artist is great. Also an artist group or something of that factor. I mean, this is a large surface area, and that's a lot to accomplish. Certainly one artist can do it. I think it's an interesting project it sounds like there's a real community spirit behind it. So it seems like a wonderful opportunity to invite groups to apply as well, where they kind of tackle it together.
And another thing to, along those lines, Stony, is keep saying that if we're really going to become a mural rich community, we have to teach more people how to do it. So to incorporate apprentices, if it is going to be a single artist, to maybe put something in the budget for a couple helpers, and that would be kind of in the emerging artists. And maybe that's something else that people could apply for, to be
that's a good idea.
Apprentice to this, and that's something else you could raise money for. That would be appealing, like support, foster an apprenticeship for this project. I mean, just like in the budget, that would probably only be a couple $1,000s, so it might appeal to certain types of donors.
I think that's
interesting to get the university involved in it too, with the mural aspect and teaching, because I know that they are also interested in having more of their younger artists learn the mural process as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of muralists, as is, hire people to come help them paint under their direction, which, you know, when we were thinking of a budget, it was under this, they would have to hire people and have them help out. But I love the idea of kind of an apprenticeship program and creating sponsors through that. And I think for you guys, you have such a better understanding of what a comprehensive budget would look like, of, you know, the material for that size of wall, to pay an artist appropriately, which is something that I think we certainly want to commit to, because artists are underpaid in this community too frequently, and we should make a project that's worth their time. So a budget that's inclusive of that, materials, and as a whole, so we can get a sense of how much we need to get together as a business, because I think it's only appropriate that we cover at least half of that cost, because we don't want this, you know, wonderful thing for our block and businesses to come across like we're trying to get the community to pay for it, because that's definitely not the idea. But potentially a portion of it would be nice. So if you guys have an idea of that budget, it would be really helpful. And then from our perspective, I don't think that any of us really want it broken out into a bunch of different murals, even though that idea has been brought up. And for me, and I think Don as well, the idea of a really large, impactful mural that is kind of one singular image or story is the direction we'd like to go.
Wonderful. So I think on our end, just so you're aware where we can get started, would be probably to have a subcommittee meet with both you and Don and any of the other businesses that would be involved to kind of go over that in more detail, and just get started that way. So we all have an understanding of what you guys are looking for and how we can better help you. So is that something that you're interested in doing with us to get this kicked off?
Yeah, absolutely. And then after that, you guys would be able to put out a public art call and kind of rally that process moving forward. Yeah.
So the initial conversation with us would be going over more of the finer points that would be within a contract, such as maintenance and all of those things that would come up later down the road, and then how we would help you guys structure your art call, looking for artists, and moving forward that way. And it would probably take about a month or two before we would get out an art call, especially since we are approaching the holidays.
Sounds perfect.
Can I just, while it's on my mind, just one more piece about thinking about, just some of the conversations we've had together here and prior, and supporting emerging artists and younger artists, thinking about, like, oftentimes what happens with public calls is that we look to people's experience of having performed that task in the past. And I'm wondering about, especially with something this large that naturally could beg the hands of multiple parties involved. Maybe it could be people propose designs that then can be like executed by a group of people. So that paves the way for maybe more Indigenous artists, for example, having opportunities, and other emerging artists. So just throwing that out there to kind of plant that seed.
Thanks, Tony. That's a really good point. So I think right now the next step for us, Tom, will be for us to set a meeting with you, and I'll send an email to you, and you can link Dawn in with it, and any of the other businesses as well. And I'll invite the Public Art Committee members who would like to join to be part of that subcommittee, and we'll get started from there. Does that sound like a good course of action for you?
That sounds perfect. I really appreciate you guys' willingness to help with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome to stay on and be part of our meeting if you'd like, or if you'd like to hop off, you are welcome to do so as well.
I would love to hear more, but I do have another call at 4:30 I gotta jump on, so.
No worries. Thank you again for bringing this project to us. We're really excited about it. It's great. We'll make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Moving on to approval of our October minutes. Does anyone have any because we should have all read this before, or the minutes before we came on. Does anyone have any amendments that they need to make to the October minutes? Would someone like to make a motion of approval?
I motion to approve.
Does anyone second?
I'll second.
Do all of those agree? Please raise your hand. Paisley, can you please let me know if everybody's raising their hand?
I think I saw all the hands. Yes.
Okay. Minutes have been approved. We will move on then. Oh, before we move on, who would like to be on the email for the this mural with Tom?
I would.
So Hallie,
Tony.
Stoney,
Danny.
Danny, I knew you would.
Kathy,
Kathy. Awesome. So Danny, Kathy, Stoney, Hallie, myself. Solid. I'll send that email out after our meeting to get an idea of when we would all be available to have a meeting and just to start the conversation. So now we'll move on to the Welcome to Missoula sign with Tony.
Okay, thanks. I'm trying to like go back over my notes so I can like summarize. We had like, I felt like, so we had a meeting, was that last week? I don't know, last week, week before.
Okay.
It felt like we drank through a fire hose. I felt like I drank through a fire hose anyways, just trying to wrap my head around where the city's at. I'm gonna do my best to summarize, and Kathy and Courtney, like, or anybody else who was on the call, feel free to jump in and kind of offer your reflections on things. You know, basically folks on the call included Linda with Missoula Downtown Association, Barb with Destination Missoula, Dave Strohmeyer with City Commissioner. So, you know, it sounds like it's kind of been in the works through MDA for a while, and it's been kind of on pause for quite some time. They've developed a whole system of kind of aesthetic rubric designed. They spent a ton of money to do a, you know, like heavily designed project that's kind of gotten piecemeal. They've done some of their wayfinding systems. It's all part of the Missoula wayfinding systems. And there's barriers for kind of basically where to put the sign seems to be one of the main things, and like who's going to kind of champion the effort forth. I think also in addition to like maybe there was challenges with which group. I'm sorry, I have a hard time with like thinking about all of the city like traffic people. Who's really the kind of folks not wanting to move things forward or like not approving where the sign can be put?
I thought it was MDT, but Kathy or Danny, because Danny was also on the call, might be able to remember better than me.
Yeah, it was the state MDT because thinking along the state highway, particularly on that northeast quadrant when you come into Missoula from Bonner. They had designated some spaces to the west and to the south, but the highway department, all of that was highway land. And Linda McCarthy, director of the Downtown Partnership, was saying that they ran into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock.
Yeah. And then challenges with funding as well. And so, I think one of the interesting things to come from the meeting was just, one, why did it even come up? Who brought up the roundabout signs?
Dave?
Yeah, maybe Dave.
I think Dave brought up that they were talking about potentially wanting to do something in the roundabouts at Van Buren and Orange, but that there was a line of sight issue with, I think it might have been MDT again, the same MDT kind of sight issue.
MDT and the visibility triangle and line of sight.
Yeah. That as a site is interesting, even with the barriers. I don't know, I guess the committee needs to meet again, and we didn't get a chance as a committee to kind of reflect on how the conversation went and what our intentions are. I know from my perspective, I was not particularly inspired by the design. I know that they invested a lot in it, but it was to me as an artist, it was like, I like the materiality of it. And it could be something as simple as just having a little bit of bright color, just somewhere in there, like if you I was thinking about flickers, and you look at a flicker has such interesting patterning and color, but mostly it's fairly muted, right? There's kind of browns and blacks and whites, but then there's that flash of red, and our love of the natural world. I see that that's what that sign is inspired by, right? Like Missoulians love being outside, they love hiking, but I think what it was missing was that spark of brightness that Missoulians also love.
Could you describe the sign for the members who were not on the call and saw it? Because I think.
Yeah.
You said you just shared an image?
Is
Or
there
you
an
asked me
image?
to give an image?
Oh, let's see. There is an image, although I'm looking at it on my other computer. I could try and pull it up and screen share it. Okay, I'll just try and be descriptive, and then I can follow up with an email for you guys. You know, it's basically like there's like kind of a stone base, like they took like stone and like metal as their material theme. And it was like a stone base, maybe with, you know, metal lettering. And I think with the welcome signs, like the gateway signs, they're calling them, it had some kind of thinner pieces that stretched up, but they were like blue and green, kind of muted colors.
Basic.
Yeah. You know, I just think they were a little uninspired. And I think if you're trying to like rally a bunch of people, people need to be inspired by the thing they're looking at too. I mean, I don't know if that was a barrier for them, but.
It was very geometric is what I thought. Very rigid.
Yeah. Kind of like a.
Well, and I think too, what they were doing is they were looking at their entire wayfinding
Totally.
graphic standards.
Yeah.
And we keep thinking, I mean, I think the subcommittee was thinking, oh, we could incorporate some great art or something
Yeah.
into that. And I guess my takeaway was this is what all of their planning and all of their community workshops have come up with. And so if we wanted to do some artistic entryway corridor welcoming something, that it would be in addition to their already approved and accepted wayfinding welcome signs.
Right. Right.
Which I don't think is impossible to do. I mean, maybe there's a way to put something in the same location, and then on the east side find a new location, because Heidi had a great idea of looking at what properties are near the entryway that were city owned.
Right.
And Dave even, I thought Dave said county owned too, although I don't think there's many county owned locations.
I think she was looking at university owned as well.
And then there might be something even in between Missoula and East Missoula that's privately owned, that somebody who is an art supporter would allow a welcoming artwork along with the gateway sign or in partnership or something. I don't know that they're mutually exclusive. There might be a way to do something creative so as not to detract from their desired design, but still be more aesthetically pleasing.
Right. So whatever it is, it's a beast of a project. And if we start from the beginning, we're literally starting from the beginning. Or if we take, you know, the nice thing about jumping in on where they're at is we, you know, some of the legwork's been done and we could pick up the project where it is. But for me to spearhead it, I'll have to say I would have to champion some modifications at least to the design. So.
Well, I did reach out to Oregon, which is one of the cities that they talked about having the Roundabout Art, and then Idaho Falls. So I am looking to see how they got around their red tape issues in their cities. The Oregon town, their roundabouts were done by a private art organization in their city, while Idaho Falls was done by their city works. So I think Idaho had an upper hand in getting theirs done because they already had city involvement and eagerness, while Oregon might have been a little different. So that might be an avenue that we could look at as well for art if we wanted to incorporate some beautiful art.
I think there's something interesting about that. And like, you know, I think one of the things about the welcome sign is engaging traffic, you know, in the experience of art. I mean, it's a tone setter. So especially, I mean, you know, those sites, right, when you get off of Orange Street, I mean, what a roundabout that would be, or right off of Van Buren. I mean, it sounds like maybe that's been explored, but it can't hurt kind of maybe, you know, just talking to some folks and seeing.
Cool.
So I don't, at this stage in the game, we probably just need to have another meeting and see if there's motivation to move forward. But that's kind of an update.
Cool. Does
I
anyone
was
have anything that?
wondering, in terms of the location, would that be as you come into Missoula from the east? And as the valley opens up before you, you would see this sign and there's Missoula before you. Is that kind of the location that you were thinking of? And then what about coming in from the west? Would that be a different location, obviously, as you come in from the west to the roundabouts and the get off?
I think Kathy has a better sense of the locations of the signs that they talked about. Can you talk to that?
I think right now it could be open, but what the Downtown Association, Downtown Partnership, and Destination Missoula, and that group that was spearheading the wayfinding, I believe they were on the east looking closer to the entry, Van Buren Street entry, and that's where they were having issues with MDT. On the west, and Stony and Danny and Courtney, correct me if I misheard this, but there was an area on the west near the airport that was made available to them. And then on the south, on the north side of the Buckhouse Bridge. So some, in those vicinities.
Yeah, the airport was where there's already the welcome sign. The group who put that sign was going to remove that sign to allow for the city sign to go there because they already had approval for that. Does that make sense?
And then, yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks, Tony. Moving right along to the Indigenous Mural Project with Lisa and Danny.
Have you got anything, Danny?
No. I feel like I can't even remember the last time we talked about this and like what we did. I just feel like so many things have happened between now and last time we met. So I can't remember right now.
Okay. Well, they did send out an email saying that it was, we haven't talked in a while, but they sent out an email that said that it had been, that they're just going to hold off until January so they can do some other assessments. And that has me a little worried, but I don't want to read into it too much.
So we officially gave it over to Parks to be part of the MOU with us, umbrellaed over them. And so Donna is talking with Steve Clausen about it, and she's still championing and trying to push and pushing for it to make sure that we still get the space and everything on there. So it's not, I think we're still a go, but in January we'll talk more and see how things are going.
Yep. So not much of an update.
It's okay. Some months are like that. So we'll just skip to the cleaning Van Buren mural with Kathy.
Next should be Mountain Line mural is number 6.
Oh, never mind.
JK, sorry. I had them switched for whatever reason. So the Mountain Line mural closed. We had 2 submissions, and the Mountain Line decided to move forward with Stella Newell. She will be sending in a design in December for approval. And in that meeting, what I would like to do is have committee members be part of that approval for the art piece. So if we could have a couple people be part of that, because she hasn't officially submitted a design. Her selection was a little bit unique in that she had submitted a design that was chickens and eggs, but they liked her art enough that they selected her and just asked her to create a design fitting the description. So her original design was not approved by anybody, but they liked her art enough to move forward with her. So the art piece hasn't been approved or selected. So I'm hoping, and I'll invite, when we know the date in December, committee members for us to do the approval of the art there. She knows that there's a chance that with whatever design she gives, we might have to come back and say, you need to make this change or this change. And then we'll reassess then. And then we're hoping to get everything kicked off in March for painting.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I think Stella's going to do a really great job. She's a really talented artist. The chicken and the eggs was actually a really, really good design. And we told her to submit one for our traffic signal box because it was super cute. I don't know, Paisley, is there any way you could like screen share the chicken and the eggs?
It would take me a while to pull that up from Submittable and find it and share it.
Okay,
I could
maybe
email
we
it
can
out.
email it out. But that's the update for the mountain lion right now. I'll invite everybody when we get the December date for that meeting, and then we can be part of that for the approval in December. So then we'll move on to coffee. Oh, go ahead.
She knows about that then?
Yeah, that was part of her selection, was that she had to be okay with submitting the design and then getting possible edits and redesign.
Great.
So
Cool.
that was something she would have to be comfortable with because they didn't have the initial design that she was going to do.
Great.
How much money did they, I can't remember how much money was awarded to the artist.
They correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was $5,000 or $7,000.
That sounds right to me as well, 5. But I would have to go back and check for sure.
I can't remember. Yeah.
I believe it was 5,000. And we pushed to get them higher, but I think Shanti was only capable of getting them to 5. And originally, I think they wanted to go much lower. So I'm very happy that they were able to increase it to where they're at.
Yeah, I believe their original thought was 3, and we got them up to 5.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, I was pushing hard for 7, but I was hoping that they would see this piece and then be like, oh yes, let's invest way more into our art because it's worth it and it's beautiful and just offers so much more. So fingers crossed on that. So then we'll move on to the Van Buren mural with Kathy.
Oh, if the weather will cooperate, we'll, now that we have to worry about water freezing on the sidewalks, et cetera, although this week it's supposed to be in the 40s. So maybe keeping our fingers crossed. But I was talking with MDT about that, and I don't know if we need to talk about the signal boxes at the end, but I also talked with them about that. So
yeah, we'll bring that up after. We'll bring that up at number 9.
Right.
Cool. So community arts conversation and Q&A. So I reached out to Jim after our last conversation because we had talked about possibly doing a continuing ed, the adult education class where people would have to pay, and just asked him if that was something that we could do. He is super enthusiastic about us doing a service like this for the community. He thinks it would be great. If we did go the route of adult ed, we would just need to make sure that all of those monies get sent to the city, and we have a special account for those. But he suggested we reach out to the library. And so I did, and I emailed Honor, and she was super enthusiastic about it as well. And once the library gets opened up, she said, just let us know the dates we want to come and talk, and they would love to have us. And that since MCAT will be in there, she said that they would record it and put it live for TV. So my thought was, I told her maybe once every quarter, so we're not overstretching ourselves, but we're offering enough to the community. And that might be a lot. Maybe we go down to just twice a year. But something along those lines where it's in the evening, can be very casual, informal conversation, and we can invite artists to discuss their experiences. So that's where we're at right now, but we have to wait till the library opens up before we can move forward with a lot of other things. Okay, so I guess we can move on to announcement news and upcoming events. As Kathy mentioned, one of our traffic signal boxes has been damaged. Lisa sent me an image of, oh, Kathy, I'm gonna need your help with the streets. Broadway
and Broadway.
Is it Broadway and Madison?
Madison and Broadway.
Madison
Sinclair.
Madison.
Madison and Broadway.
was
And
the
can you
new
please
one.
Oh yeah, it was the beautiful piece, and I'm so bad with names. Can anyone? help me
Monica
with that?
brings yellow.
Monica.
Monica
brings
Gillis
Thank you.
brings yellow.
Yeah,
And it
So
was, and it's
we-
that lovely piece.
I
But
know. It looks like somebody backed into it. Like the box itself has been damaged, and I sent Kathy the information, and she reached out to MDT. So I'll let Kathy take it from here.
yeah, I did talk with the leave messages for everybody there that has helped us on the project. Steve Felix, who's the operations head, and Glenn Cameron, and et cetera. Their process now will be to, right now the guts aren't damaged. So when the guts of the signal boxes aren't damaged, they usually replace them as they have time and as their budget allows. What I don't know is when we've had someone damage a signal box before, there was a woman on Broadway front, Main and Orange, had a seizure and ran into the signal box, and her insurance covered it. We don't know who. I stopped by the Sinclair station to see if they had any video. Of course, there is none that shows somebody hitting it. But interestingly enough, that is the second time that box has been hit. Our first signal box piece on that box was a Parfleche, and really within a year of it being completed, somebody had backed into it. Now, the damage on that one wasn't nearly as severe, so they truly never replaced it until last year. But this one looks like it's going to be replaced again. And, whether or not MDT would be willing to help us with the replacement of just the vinyl. They haven't been in the past, but that one probably, I believe it was close to 700, 680 or something for that vinyl. So if nothing else, Jeff Stevens and I will look at raising the money to replace the vinyl.
And Paisley, you reached out to Monica as well and let her know that her box had been damaged, correct?
Yes, I did. And yeah, she was already aware, but was appreciative that we reached out. And she said she would absolutely love to replace it if possible. So.
Oh yeah, it's
a beautiful piece. I'm super bummed.
What is the process for, is there anything for people to report those? I mean, to tell you the truth, I took that picture like a month and a half ago and then forgot about it. And then, I saw it, and then weeks went by, and then I was sitting at the red light and I was like, oh, I meant to take a picture of that. Took a picture of it, forgot about the picture, and then went to my phone weeks later and was like, ooh, I never sent that picture. I bet everybody knows about it now. But it had been there a long time. Broken.
Well, and truly, if there's no damage to the innards, to the computer systems inside those boxes, ET doesn't prioritize their replacement. And the lights have been working fine.
Yeah. I was just sort of surprised that I was the first one to bring it to the attention after such neglect on my part.
Well, you have to drive by those things, and that's part of it. So thank you for seeing that and driving.
Yeah, thank you.
What about in the situation of like peeling paint? There's one over on, I think it's like South and Reserve, that bear, the little cute bear one. It's painted
over
recently.
By the fire.
Really over kind of like
by Fort Missoula.
Yep.
Artists have an opportunity. We always go back to the artist first to see if they can.
What they want to do. Yeah, because that one's peeling really bad. It's like they didn't wipe it, they didn't clean the surface off and dry it or something before priming it. So it's in pretty rough shape. I was gonna bring both of these up, so I'm glad that it's already been flagged.
Well,
So
I'll defer to Kathy for that one because I think she's going to know more about the traffic signal box process than I would.
well,
So,
no, we've
Kathy,
always
what
had,
process would you?
sorry, yeah, if there's damage, I mean, we get calls, I hate to say all the time, but from tagging, whoever does that, either graffiti team gets it or, well, if it comes from downtown, they always call me because they essentially know, and then we get out and clean it and repair it. But if there's major damage on that one, I'll go out and take a look at it.
I'd look, yeah.
You know, the other thing is I've always wanted the bases to get redone, but yeah, that's a whole nother story. But we'll get in touch with the artist and see if he can repair it. Most of the artists are willing to do that. Then the question comes in is, we've always, as you know, Stony, when you repainted irises, we paid you to do that. And Jeff and I raised the money so we could do that. And we'll look, if we need to have him do that, we'll look at being able to pay him.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that he did things incorrectly. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Yeah.
But,
and like maybe like the surface was inconsistent on the like the original paint on that was bubbly, you know, any kind of surface inconsistency could cause that,
right.
Or there was extreme temperatures when that was happening, you know, any number of variables could have that.
Right. So I'll take a look at that and then we'll figure something out. But we will contact him.
Awesome. One other thing is we got an email today. There is a group who has a fully funded art piece that they would like to put into Missoula. And Donna Gockler actually sent an email out saying that they're very interested in it. We could find a location within the parks to put it. They would just like us to work with them and then go through all the proper channels. So if anybody is interested in doing a fully funded sculpture piece, please let me know and we can form a subcommittee to get this going, because it seems like there's already community excitement about it, and it seems like it would just be us looking for a place to put it.
Do we know what it is? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I'll send out. Well, they have different images. So the email says it's, and Paisley, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the sculptures that they sent in the email are not the ones that he has.
That's correct. They sent us photos of past works. So I just put a link in the chat to MikeLustig.com. I believe that Lustig is the artist. So you can check out some of his other works. He does a lot of sculpture where he plays with light, and they're kind of interactive in the way that you look at them. Yeah, but we can, check out his website. We can forward on what we were sent to, but yeah, it sounds like it's fully funded and they're just looking for help with location. He's from Denver.
Yeah, it's fully funded. Parks is already on board with it. It would just be us having a subcommittee meeting to look at the piece, make sure that it goes, like Donna's thing is she wants to make sure that it goes through all of the proper vetting process that it usually goes through. So maintenance, liability, management, that it's an appropriate sculpture for the area. It seems like a super fun, easy thing for us to do. Is anybody interested? And just speak up if you're interested.
I'll help if I can.
Cool. Kathy?
I'm looking at his site now. It's interesting. But how did he find out about us? Do we know any background or?
She's a consulting curator. Her name is Emily, and they are working with a grant program called Dash Grantees.
Cool.
And I think he is the one who asked about putting a piece here. So he is the one who's interested in putting it. Hallie might be interested. Hallie, I'll link you and Kathy in on an email and we can chat about it.
Interesting. I wonder if he's different things around the country or whatever.
Yeah, so he has, let's see. He's got different things around the country, and he's wanting to install a sculpture in the second or third quarter of 2021. So that would be like this summer, spring or summer. So yeah, I think that I'll forward along this email, or Paisley will forward along this email that we got. But it's super interesting. So we can sit and chat about it and bring more information next month.
Courtney, feel free to add me to that email. I'll do what I can.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty easy, it doesn't require a lot of work on our part as far as like finding the artist and doing the sculpture. Parks is, like I said, they're already on board with it. So that's pretty exciting. Awesome. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to share news-wise or upcoming events that we should know about?
I have a thing. There's I don't know if you know, April Whirl's doing this. Is doing a podcast, and she had Lily on the podcast, and Lily was talking about our art guide, and said that there were a number of factual errors in it, and she didn't go into too many of them, but I just wondered, like, when was the last time that was given a thorough review, and whether or not that should be a project on our, I guess the one thing that she did mention was that there was the Brendan's Wave didn't have like the artist on it, like the artist who did that piece was not listed in our art guide, just the title. So like that there were these, I don't think she was talking so much about typos, but like factual omissions and things like that, like inconsistencies. And I just wondered, I mean, I haven't heard too much of that process of how it goes through, and whether or not we needed to.
You know, everybody is always invited to look at it, but we review it every year.
So was that just that one thing?
There's things that are missing. Why doesn't everybody take a look at it? And if Lillian could point out the things that she knows, then we can make sure they're corrected.
She seemed to be suggesting that she had brought them up to.
I've never received anything from her.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nor have I.
Never.
Paisley, have you received any information?
So this is the first you're hearing of it?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely the first.
Did she?
And I talked to Lillian, well, not regularly, but I have talked with her. So
Did she ask you who that artist was even? Did she come and ask about that artist?
I talked to Lillian about the public art guide.
She told this whole story of having to, like, she found out the name of the artist and did this research sort of on our behalf. And I was wondering if that is going to get incorporated into the next version, or anyway.
It can be if we get the information. But seriously, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Huh.
Yeah, in the years that I've been on the public art committee, I don't think anybody has brought anything to us to add to the public art guide or let us know of any inconsistencies that they saw. And on my part, Lillian's never approached me to tell me that something's happened with our art guide or that we were missing information, because we would absolutely like to, let's fix it if it's broken, or something's missing, let's add it.
Yeah, I mean, there's never been an issue with not correcting something if there was something missing.
The other thing, now that I'm recollecting, she said that they actually tried to do the art walk and couldn't because of, so that she has this cousin who's a filmmaker, and they were trying to do the art walk, one of the art walks on there, and were prevented
Well-
from doing it.
Hmm.
No, has anyone, I'd never taken the art walk. Has anybody on the art committee taken the art walk?
I have, but because we've had to check the numbers out. And I guess I don't know what she's saying, but gosh, if there's something wrong with it, there's no reason why.
Okay. I will reach out to her and ask her to be more specific and to get in touch with us.
Yeah, or have her
Yeah.
give me a call. I mean, truly, there's no reason why it can't be corrected.
How long ago was the art walk done? I mean, or the review of that? Has it been a while?
Well, I haven't taken it for a couple of years, but I've gone around and made sure that everything was in the place that it was, if we've had them in there.
Okay.
And I don't know, I mean, I know when it used to be part of the, Destination Missoula site,
Mm.
heard anything that there was something wrong with it.
So we adopted it from Destination Missoula. Is that the sort of?
No, they put it on the app when there was a Destination Missoula app, and that's app that they wanted us to take over. Was it
No, that wasn't Destination
last
Missoula.
year,
That
Courtney,
was,
last year, and we didn't do it?
that was Missoulian. That was
That's,
Jackie
No,
Whalen.
They had a different app that was for like visitors. This was years ago. This
Oh.
would have been maybe 5 years ago. It was an app where you could go in and look at different art via an app, and they were saying it was, public art. Here's a public art walk, but it was not our app, and it wasn't our information. But we were kind of linked to it because it was public art, and it didn't take off. And I think it had maybe like 100 users at one point. And when they didn't want to fund it anymore, they asked us to take that over. And we did not want to take that over.
Yes.
The
it was
Missoulian, I think, was
terrible.
a website that we didn't want to take over. This was like a full-on.
yeah, I still have it
Tourist
on my
app.
phone. I still have it on my phone. It's called Tour Missoula, but they
Yeah, I
essentially
have it too.
stopped dealing with it.
That was the app that was supposed to be a walking app, but it was done in alphabetical order, as if all
Yeah.
art lined up in alphabetical order. It was
So that wasn't,
was
we
like-
have no affiliation with that app as far as the committee goes, just so you know, like that.
No,
we've
they-
never been.
No, they were
into it.
talking, what Lily was talking about is the art guide, this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not an app. So, but the material that's in here, that's what she was saying. And these self-guided tours that she was and her filmmaker were trying to go through and couldn't follow the maps. And I know Missoula has that's what was wrong with that other app, is that it had no system of navigation. And so it's hard to do a walking tour that isn't based on navigation.
Yeah, have her give a call, because if she's got some great, I can have her sit down with Jackie too, and we can correct it.
Hey, this is Heidi. Sorry, I hopped on late. We had
Hey.
teacher conferences. I'm here. But I was wondering, I wonder if we could rope some of maybe the distance learning, if there's any sort of students into truth checking the guide, like working with our teachers. Because it seems like we're all looking for stuff to do that doesn't involve hanging out with other people. I don't know, just an idea.
That's a good idea. I think we need to talk to Lillian first to figure out what her context was, because she's never approached us about any of these issues. So I think for us, we're like, we don't know what the issue is. And it sounds from what Lisa's saying is she wasn't very descriptive in the podcast of the exact issue. Is that correct, Lisa?
Yeah. She gave a
So-
little anecdotes, but she was having a conversation with someone else. I couldn't say, what are you talking about? So, and it made it sound like she had already brought it up to us. So I was just like, I had never heard about it. So I was just following up, but I'll go back to her and ask her for some details, and we don't need to.
I certainly don't remember any.
Okay.
But once we figure that out, I think that is a really good option, Heidi, of just asking students or art teachers, like, hey, if you have any at-home learners who might need to do something that are in need.
Get an internship.
Can do it for some volunteer hour credits, maybe. That would be a good option. So Heidi, just so how long have you been on the call? Just so I'm aware.
Not super long. I hopped in on the conversation of the damaged box. So I heard that part.
So there are a few things if you'd like to be part of the subcommittee. Tom Snyder approached us about doing a mural on the Ingalls and Volks wall. And we're just having a preliminary conversation with them to get stuff rolling. Are you interested?
Do you want to give me the whole list first? Or is that...
I mean, it's Tom Snyder, Ingalls and Volk, Donna, who owns that building, and they want to do a mural, and I can give you more detail about that. We don't have to rehash it now. I can have a private conversation with you about it, if that's cool with you. And then you can make your decision. And then we're gonna, I'll forward, we were just talking about this. We're gonna forward this email. This guy named Mike Lustig has a fully funded art piece that Parks is interested and totally behind. And right now, we're just gonna see, we're just gonna have a subcommittee meeting to talk about it and get things going. It seems like a super fun piece.
Yeah, I heard that part. Yeah, I'd be keen to finding out more information. So.
Awesome. And I think that's it for right now. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to add? Bye to Lisa and Stony. I know you jumped off. And if not, Hallie is hopping off. And I think we've kind of hit all of our points. Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to add right now? Nope. All right. Well, I think we will adjourn for the evening. Thank you all so much for coming today. Lots of cool things in the works. Bye.